when you get parts from GkTech USA, aka Dan Brockett, Officer Dan, what is it going to be? Weather-tight packaging. And they really crammed that in my box. Let's get in there. Oh, what? The latest generation tension rods? Version 4? Oh, dang it. It's a big, gigantic dick tour. So in all seriousness, dicks aside, these are the latest badass tension rods from GkTech. S13, S14 style, 180SX. Doesn't matter. Offset inside the tension rod bracket up in there for clearance, and even offset for wheel clearance. So why do we have a big like D10 or clearance in this? It's for your wheel, the arch of your wheel, with all this added angle that we have. If you're running any of their other parts, they're most likely geared towards clearance and wheel clearance and max angle and not rubbing. So you can see the arch of this is on the driver's front side, is a whole lot different from my current teen setup where it's just straight. I have enough wheel spacer stacked and my wheel clearance and offsets already, not necessarily rubbing this, but this is an issue on a lot of people's cars. So I'm going to show you how to install this. So this install is going to be so easy with hand tools. I'm going to literally do it in my flip-flops in my garage, my water, and my car here. This is as basic as you can get, people. So if your car still has factory mounting hardware, it's pretty much a 17 for everything. So that's 2 here on the lower control arm where it mounts. And then there's a long nut and bolt up here, which is also 17. So once again, basic tools. Oops, dropped it. So yeah, just zip this off real quick. Look at that, one-handed.
One. I think this is gonna fall right out, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it's crazy to think. I'm gonna put my foot in there. Look at that.
So going back to, this is like a teen basic, their version of their tension rod, and it's straight. It has adjustability up here to move your control arm forward and back, which is your caster setting. It's got Heims there. It's a little, they weren't giving me any issues, but there's always a reason to upgrade. So yeah, the teen ones that I had mounted currently were in great shape. They still were free. I could still align them and stuff, but there's always added benefits of newer products, of more refined products that have easier adjustability, the range of the adjustability, where the spot of the adjuster is in a better spot. So that's why I went with these. The room for the wheel clearance could be used in the future if I do try to change my setup or my spacers, my wheel spacer. So let's show them side by side and really show you what I mean. Look at that. Would you just look at it? That's kind of wild how much more room you have with this one. Like, this would be straight right here, but there's all sorts of room on the inside of the body, like on the frame rail side, where out here your wheel's swinging left and right. So it's so cool. You can have literally that much more angle and not rub your tension rod. So this pairs freaking awesome with their blade style sway bar. Not to say that's not in the mail, but it's not in the mail yet. So like I said, it's another thing that you can just add to their catalog of killer products. So whenever you do change out your vital suspension components, it's always easiest to not screw your friend on the alignment rack and set them to a baseline. So I'll measure center of that into these bolt holes, and we'll call it like right at 14 inches to that back center. This is kind of crazy because out of the box, that center to that back bolt center is literally 14 inches. But I'll show you how to adjust it anyway. So this is real slick. This outer heim joint, it's serviceable. So you can take their vehicle specific ends off and you can replace this if you wad it or the joint plays out. But for your adjustment, this is mounted in the car, this won't be able to turn. You break your lock nut free and you spin the body of this inside and out. So you spin the center one and that's gonna bring it out or in, and then lock your nut down. Boom. So when you position your arm in the car, you want the most offset, like so the thicker one here on the left side, so outside of the car. You want it on the left side, so it has the arm more so in. So once you have the front bolted in, not tightened down yet, so 17's in the front, and it comes with new hardware in the back with lock washers. So it's an 18mm bolt on the top and a 19mm nut on the bottom. So keep in mind, you might need to pull on your control arm. Look at that, just dropped right in. So keep in mind, the tension rod adjusts the angle of your control arm forward and back, and that is caster adjustment. So this is the old let the tools work for you / the GkTech RCA hold my other wrench while I film it and tighten it. So once again, 19 on the bottom, 18 on the top, and it's a nylon lock washer. So you won't have to worry about these coming loose. So once again, if you have stock arms or you have your old teens that everyone's always had, measure from one hole to the front center one to make sure your length is right, since you have the adjustability, because you don't want to put this on rushing over to your buddy's shop to get alignment done and have it extended all the way out and your wheel hits in the back and screws up your tire and stuff. So make sure it's, and on this my particular car, it's 14 inches from the back hole center to the front hole center. So now we're going to use our super expensive wrenches and just snug it, because I, like any suspension part, when I put it on, I go get an alignment. Snug. So this is going back to how much room it gives you. Look at the sway bar literally in the way. Literally completely on the other side, the radius of it. So yeah, I need more GkTech parts. Give you the old up the skirt shot. Look at the clearance. So much clearance. All the room in the world on this side, but the wheels on this side, you know, when you get to lock. So, ×2. I've already taken the other side off. This one's definitely a little bit more worse for wear. But we're replacing it, and it's the same exact length as the other side, so about 14 inches from the front to the very back bolt. Here's something else I always do, since I'm very much mechanically, I would say, inclined and knowledgeable when it comes to like joints and adapter arms and collars and stuff like that. You always want to see how much shank you have buried in your threaded portion of your arm, your rod, whatever it is. So in here I have about half this shank left inside, then I have the other half outside. So you always want to, you know, play the game of halves, like leave half in, half out. Let's talk about sex. But so this rod right here is about 2 inches long. So you can see I've only got like maybe just over ½ inch of length out on it. So that way there's not this fully bottomed and this all the way out, and this has all the pressure on it. You want to make sure everything carries the same load. So game of halves. So tension rods, what do they do? Why do you have them? What's their purpose? Their purpose is for caster. So the offset of the wheel from the back to the front. Caster is adjusted by pulling that arm. It's a non-adjustable angle from the factory. If you are in the auto technology field or mechanics or ASC certified or anything, then you'll know that that angle usually doesn't affect the car's drivability, the straight line stability. But technically it does. Think shopping carts have no caster. And we've all ran behind a shopping cart and the front wheels shake as you're, you know, crazy going down the aisle catching your mom. But choppers, West Coast choppers and stuff, they're really laid out. They have super stable highway speed because their front wheels are so far angled in relation to the rest of the car. So drastically, that's how I'm explaining this. So if you have a lot of caster, the car is very stable at speed, and when your wheels turned, it snaps back. The caster angle has an impact on drifting because depending on how the length of your arm is, you'll have to add or subtract caster to get your steering feel. So some people like the car to rotate really fast back. I run less than stock caster, so about 3.4 to 4 degrees of caster, which gives me a flatter contact patch. You can almost see it there, which helps with front end grip. So this is a stock KA 240SX with fiberglass everything except for the roof and the trunk lid. So this car is very light, and I run a 205 tire all the way around, and it throws down with the best of them. So I run very little caster, but you have to do more driver input with it since it's not as helpful because it doesn't want to snap back like a chopper at lock. So I'm going to give you some heads up spacing increments just so I can statically show you how it works. So this is exaggerated because the car is in the air, but we'll have like almost a full hand gap in the back, and we'll choose this reference point right here. It's almost a full hand gap in the front as well. So make sure that's loose, and let's just crank this puppy all the way. Which way is this moving it? Tight. So we're pulling it forward, shortening it, therefore adding caster. So normally you wouldn't do this, but I just wanted to show in reference. So essentially it's pulling your lower ball joint towards your front bumper. And that's actually getting tight, so I'm gonna stop. So I haven't locked it down because I'm not gonna run it that tight. So let's push it back. And we should have theoretically moved it forward, correct? So we shortened that arm length, so therefore it's going to be tighter up here, and we should have sloppy seconds for room back here. So look at all that room. What does that mean in degrees? Probably 7 to 8-ish, if not close to 9. And the thing I don't like about caster at lock is that it takes away your contact patch. Actually, you can almost more so tell now that that lower ball joint's pulled over, so therefore it's not under the tire. It's almost in front of the tire. So therefore your contact patch isn't considered as flat. But the thing that everyone likes about 240s is that they just roll back. They just like